So what is something that you've learned from the city managers and the planning directors you've interacted with throughout this journey?
I have an interesting one. So there's a big push for government efficiency in the coming year. Like everyone's kind of aware of that. Something I've learned going into these cities, there's this assumption that they're not efficient, and I think there are opportunities for improvement all over. Like there's a lot. Like for example, in the specific space we're in, there's a lot of wasted communication, a lot of documentation that's probably overly verbose and hard to navigate. Like those are opportunities for improvement. But frequently, these organizations aren't inefficient because of any like necessary mistake they've made or any flaw that they have as like individuals who are working in these organizations, which I think is the assumption a lot. But the actual inefficiency problem, I think, comes from trying to kind of be beholden to all these different stakeholders and all these different people that are trying to get answers out of you. And I think when I start to look at the dynamics of that, I realize one, city planners are probably some of the most important people in the city that I wasn't quite as aware like how important they are. And then two, that the solution to these problems really isn't to like cut people or to make things like leaner. Like that's really not the problem. The problem for the most part is that there's too much throughput. And if we were to go out and hire 6 more planners, every city would be better off actually. But that's just not feasible, right? And so that's what I've learned is that it's not really about cutting for efficiency. It's also not really there's really not the resources to just throw money at problems in these spaces. So I think it's seeing the scrappiness and like the effectiveness is already there working under those resource constraints, but then looking for opportunities to alleviate the resource constraints, which I think when we first started this, my thought was, oh, we'll just make them get back to emails faster because they're slow at getting back to emails. But you dig into it and you realize it's a very complicated issue and you have to chip away at like piece by piece.